All right, let's talk about one of history's most radical and honestly most bizarre philosophers. This is a man who lived a life so completely outrageous that he forces us, even today, to question everything we think we know about how to live. His name was Diogenes. Even people at the time didn't know what to make of him. The great philosopher Plato, his contemporary, came up with this pretty famous description. He basically said Diogenes was like Socrates, but completely off the rails. And if you're wondering why Plato would say that, well, just look at what this guy did. He wasn't some academic writing down theories. No, he lived his philosophy out loud, on the streets of Athens. And his whole goal was to shock people, to break every single social rule he could find. So, you have to ask the question, right? Was this guy just an unhinged lunatic, or was there actually a profound method to all this madness? To figure that out, we have to look past the shocking behavior and dig into the core of his ideas. And to really get to the bottom of it, we have to understand this one central conflict that was at the absolute heart of everything he believed. For him, life was a constant battle between two major forces. Okay, so this slide really breaks it all down. For Diogenes, everything boiled down to the battle between physis, that's nature, and nomos, which is basically society's conventions, our made-up rules. He believed nature was simple, honest, and the source of all good things. But society, that was artificial, complicated, and a source of hypocrisy that just gets in the way of true happiness. And this is wild. Before he was a philosopher, Diogenes was actually exiled from his home for literally defacing the currency, for messing with the coins. He took that scandal and turned it into his life's mission. He decided that all of society's values, things like wealth, status, manners, were just a kind of fake money, and his job was to expose them as worthless. So how do you actually live like this? What does that even look like? Well, for Diogenes, his philosophy was a kind of training manual, an extreme guide to achieving total personal freedom. And for him, freedom wasn't something political. It was a state of being you had to train for, like an athlete. The very first step was something the Greeks called autarkeia, which means radical self-sufficiency. We're talking about needing absolutely nothing from the outside world. True freedom, he thought, comes when you're happy with the bare minimum. And he took this to an incredible extreme. There's this great story where he sees a child drinking water from his hands. Right then and there, he throws away his own wooden bowl, his only possession. He realized even a bowl was an unnecessary luxury, that a child had just beaten him at the game of simplicity. Now, he achieved this level of self-sufficiency through intense training he called ascesis. This is basically hardship training. He would deliberately go out of his way to make his own life difficult, all to build a kind of psychological fortress that nothing could tear down. And we're not talking about just taking a cold shower. No, this guy was rolling around in hot sand in the summer and hugging frozen statues in the winter. He lived by begging, slept in the jar, exposed to everything. The whole idea was, if you can conquer your own physical needs, your mind can be truly free. All that physical and mental toughness cultivated this one crucial virtue, parrhesia. It's a fancy Greek word for fearless, brutally honest speech. I mean, think about it. If you need absolutely nothing from anyone, who are you going to be afraid of? You're free to say exactly what you think to anyone, at any time. And the ultimate test of this came in his legendary encounter with Alexander the Great. We're talking about the conqueror of the known world. He sought Diogenes out and, being impressed, offered to give him anything his heart desired. Diogenes' reply is just perfect. It sums up his entire philosophy. Stand out of my light. He wanted nothing that power or wealth could buy. The only thing the most powerful man on earth could do for him was stop blocking the sun, a simple gift from nature that's free for everyone. So beyond all these incredible stories, what's the lasting legacy here? Why do we still talk about this guy they called the dog because of his shameless lifestyle? Why does he still matter thousands of years later? Well, for one, his ideas didn't just disappear. They were a huge influence on the Stoics, who took his whole live according to nature thing and built a major philosophy on it. And even today, he's this powerful symbol for anyone who questions consumer culture and asks, what do we really need to be happy? And his whole legacy is probably best captured in this one final act of philosophical street theater. Picture this. It's the middle of the day in the bustling Athens marketplace, and Diogenes is walking around with a lit lantern, peering into people's faces. Of course, people stop him. They ask, "What on earth are you doing?" And his reply was so simple and so deeply insulting to everyone who heard it. He just said, "I am looking for a man." He was implying that in this center of civilization, he couldn't find one.
See, he wasn't just looking for any person. He was searching for a truly authentic human being, someone who was living honestly according to nature, thesis, not just playing a part that society, nomos, had assigned them. He was looking for someone who wasn't using that false currency.
And that really leaves us with a provocative thought, doesn't it? Diogenes' lantern is a challenge that's been passed down through the centuries. It forces us to hold that light up to our own lives and ask the same uncomfortable question. In a world of social media, status symbols, and endless expectations, how much of what we value is real, and how much is just false currency waiting to be defaced?